if you're not involved in AI and if you're not utilizing it maybe to the extent of what some businesses are or individuals or developers are, they don't necessarily know the full extent of what it looks like or what it can cost a business. But the cost of using those agents is something that not many people do know about. So
what's it going to cost your business, not necessarily financially, to not use AI? Welcome to the podcast, Ben. Again.
That is going to be the introduction, and we're going to have that Kara's face is like...
I can't wait to see Kara Cam,
I was thinking about this the other day, and it's like, when no content goes out, it's just because you're so busy.
Yes, no news is good news.
And it's like, no news is good news. And it's like, that's how I feel that we have been for the last, I think like 2 months. 2 months, it's been really, really cool.
It's been awesome.
Really, really good, really, really busy. Lots of amazing new clients.
New team members.
Like
our photo that we took, 4 or 5 months ago is completely
wild.
out of date. And numbers don't even add up yet.
It's changed. And I was thinking as well, we got like international clients now.
We do.
Yeah, so really, really cool. Good to be back. Today we're going to talk about, I've got a few different topics, obviously, over the next couple of podcasts, but today we'll go through CostofAI. It's something I've kind of like had in the back of my mind. I've been talking with a few business owners regarding it as well. And it seems to always be like a topic of conversation of, if you're not involved in AI and if you're not utilizing it maybe to the extent of what some businesses are or individuals or developers are, they don't necessarily know the full extent of what it looks like or what it can cost a business. So I thought it'd be really important to be able to bring it into a conversation, to be able to talk about it, and then go through what the true costs are. Somebody that's using it very, very heavily. We use it very heavily as an agency now. And just to bring some of that stuff to conversation. So.
That sounds great. And then from my perspective, the first thing that comes to my mind in the role that I have is, what's it going to cost your business, not necessarily financially, to not use AI?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So the first thing is, there's been a lot of changes in the last couple of months in different AI tools. So we've got things like OpenClaw, we've got Claude codes, we've got their agents and their automated agents. Lots of different innovations and new tech and new platforms that are coming out, which is really, really cool. But the cost of using those agents is something that not many people do know about. So I guess I'll use an example to piece together some sort of costing around it and what it looks like. So internally, we've been building our own proprietary system, which has been extensive. We're about 2 months into the project now. It's getting, won't go too much into the nitty gritties of it, but it's fantastic for the clients. It's really, really powerful for the clients that we work with. It's ultimately getting better results for our clients. It's getting a better level of communication internally for the business. There's loads of really clever, succinct automations that we've pieced together. Caveat is that in about 2 months of development, $4,000 or $5,000 of cost.
Of actual, literal, we've had to pay out financially.
Yeah, not team cost, not hourly cost to business.
Human resource.
Actual investment cost in API usage, in database, hosting, servers, you name it. There's cost to it.
Yeah.
And that's something that I don't think a lot of businesses are aware of. You know, you see these Claude plans and it's like $20, or you go for the big one, it's like the max plan, it's $200. You get 5x the usage, and you invest into it, and you buy that plan for $200, and then you start building something. And we get loads of businesses hit us up now, day in, day out, of going, I've got this new platform, or I've got this new business, and I want to market it. And they built these SaaS platforms using Claude or using OpenClaw or some sort of Claude solution. And this $200 plan per month, while it gives you quite a lot of threshold, it doesn't give you your server, it doesn't give you your database, and often or not, what I'm finding when I'm talking with a lot of developers in the space is you hit the cap of usage very, very quickly, especially at the moment, as Claude does seem to be dialing some of that usage back. And as new models come out, so we're on Opus 4.6, and then a new model comes out, the usage cost goes up. So before long, if you want to be able to move on this as aggressively as what a lot of businesses are, you quickly go through your $200 plan, and then you're in API usage. And then as you build your platform out and you build your website out or you build your model out or whatever you're trying to piece together, you're starting to use then this API cost. And if you're a big business, 100 plus, 200 plus, 300 plus, 1,000 plus employees, that usage can be huge. And you can be burning through hundreds of dollars of API costs within hours. And while that's fine for some of the large business because it is very efficient, it's less hands-on work, it's great reduction in efficiency in terms of I don't need to be hiring staff to be able to do so. Yes, win, 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 win. We get the gist. But for the individual that's sat at home that has this bright idea to be able to build this new software or this new idea or this new SaaS platform, they don't always have the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 of capital to be able to just burn. And what we're seeing, and this was something that I read recently, a stat was something like 97% of all Claude projects or Claude Code projects that are being built will never see the light of day. So how much money are people investing into, I've got this idea of, I'm just going to build this amazing software. They get 50% of the way through and then they realize actually how expensive this is and then they stop.
There's a bigger business concept here that this speaks to me about, and what it reminds me of is COVID.
Sure.
Everyone was locked down. A million e-coms spun themselves up. Everyone.
This is like dropshipping 2.0, right?
Everybody made their money. I mean, we know a particular fashion brand that we were very closely involved with. Tons of money.
Yeah.
Without strategy, forethought, budgeting, a business plan, the long-term game. As much as you hate a 5-year plan, we have to think ahead of what things look like. You have to be pragmatic and responsible. And to me, this speaks to that. It's anyone with any kind of experience in the world that finds a pain point for themselves, which may or may not be a pain point for other people and users. That might be a good plan or a good idea. Are just going, I could just, the words we hear every day, spin that up. Spin that up. Yeah, cool. And then you have maybe a good idea that is not going to be seeing the light of day because all you have is a good idea.
Yeah.
You don't have the right prompts.
Yeah.
You don't have any idea of the market. You don't have any idea of the budget, which is what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
And now you've got these potentially some good ideas which just deserve to be put out there, but people are like, oh.
Yeah.
What's an API?
And there is some fantastic examples of very powerful platforms that have been built using it. But it is, my recommendations when I've been, whether it's with businesses we work with or just, friends who've got businesses, when we talk about it, it is always planning out what you're trying to tackle and then compartmentalizing that as well when you're building it. So what a lot of people try and do from day one is go in with this massive idea and then try and build that and correct that. So it's like, this is my problem. Go in, let's try and build, create, fix, and do it all in one hit. Versus creating a roadmap or a methodical step-by-step and try and take off these very small segments that you can tackle bit by bit. As you see from our internal one at the moment, as they're like slowly rolling out, it's like, cool, now we're tackling X, Y, Z. Now we're tackling this, and you see that when it's coming through. It's like we're just adding feature sets. And that's a similar concept because if you try and tackle the whole thing, that's where this usage just blows out the water and you just, it's kind of vibe coding. They call it vibe coding as well. It's where you just kind of going through the motion and trying to create something as you go. And there is, some fantastic ideas and some fantastic things that do come out of this because we now have the ability to do it and we don't have to, invest huge amounts of money in app development or so on. But go in with strategy, go in with an idea, go in with a plan and actually do understand that, yes, it's incredibly powerful. Yes, there are some amazing things that you can do, but there is quite a large cost there. And, I'm only tackling, 30 staff and the business of our size. If you were to tackle this on an even larger scale and are in enterprise usage or enterprise plans, that's only going to be
more.
And that cost will just
More to lose.
Exactly right.
But again, just coming back to our roles within the business, for those of you who know us, Ben very much the strategy, technologically advanced, AI, etc. I'm the face, the scope, the people, all that sort of stuff. I have these conversations with business owners who are very much in my capability of AI, which is enough to understand, enough to use, but not necessarily to the degree that you are. The same business concept will always apply. You can't eat an elephant in one big go. You have to eat it one bite at a time.
Yeah.
And even with yourself, I've seen you don't know what you don't know. And you know more about AI than anyone else that I know, right? You and Hades, you don't know what you don't know. And even as a user, we don't know what we need. And so that was that one concept of having that little X in the box that I needed.
Yeah.
Because that's how the predictable user journey that we talk about.
Yeah.
And you didn't know I needed that, and I didn't know I needed that. And I went, well, where's my X?
Yeah.
So these little
solution architects and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a problem architect. You're a solution architect.
You tell me a problem, I'll figure it out. Right. Yeah.
Literally, legit.
So,
now you figured us out, but you don't know what you don't know, and so if you go in, your costs are going to blow out, and you want to be able to manage those bit by bit. You said something the other day to me about we just tell our kids at some point to learn how to code, and it's like no. You don't need to learn how to code anymore. You just need to know how to prompt.
Yes.
And that's...
Problem solvers.
Yes.
Problem solvers are becoming really apparent. It's, being able to do something isn't necessarily the problem anymore, right? So being a developer and knowing full stack development, sorry, Sean, and Nick, and, full stack development was fantastic, but now we've kind of surpassed that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be other languages as well in this where we will also surpass as well. So a lot of it comes down to whether it's strategy, that's still very apparent, or the solution architect idea of knowing how to be a good problem solver. Yeah. And being able to look at something and understand how to fix it. That's hard to find. It's that kind of that innate ability to be able to be a problem solver. Not everybody naturally can do that and be resourceful to do that. So looking for people that are resourceful, these individual staff, I'm talking about staff, are becoming just so valuable to businesses if you are resourceful and you're a problem solver because you've got this stack of expertise now behind you, being able to leverage agentics and so on. Yeah. It's amazing. It's so powerful when you can combine those two together.
But you also need to get your teeth stuck in. You talk about being resourceful. We talk about being resourceful and what that means to different people all the time. You, Ben, know the difference and when to use chat versus Claude versus all the other different ones, whatever.
I don't use chat anymore, but yes.
His chat's got a bit...
Yes.
But you know how to prompt. Why? Because trial and error. So if your brain is inclined to work in that way and you have the time, we talk about the costs of AI. Go in and have a crack. Go in and have a go. Go in and learn what Claude needs to know from you in order to get the outcome that you want, because that will save you money. So I know that you spent time with trial and error. You've spent time before there was money on the table to be lost or to be made in this. You now know how to prompt. And that's why I was going to before, we don't necessarily need coders and all AI engineers anymore. No. What we need is people who know how to prompt. Yeah. And without being disrespectful, it's not that hard. What I mean is it takes some time and a certain brain. Yeah. But if you want to do it, you can. Yeah. It's not rocket science anymore. You don't have to go and get a degree in development engineering or whatever.
No, it's
It takes just the time and the inclination, and you can save yourself some money.
Yeah, exactly. And for businesses, they can set up different, solutions of, if you're going to something like Claude Enterprise, you can set limits and things like that as well. So you can set limits by team members. So, we're a Claude partner as a sense at the moment. So, our team solely use that platform now. And, we can set limits on ensuring that then you aren't going through API usage exorbitantly fast. So there's ways that if you are looking to get into using it, being able to use it on scale, there's companies that we partner. Yeah, exactly. And there's partners that we partner with that have a similar setup as well now, and we're working on behalf of them in their solutions. So there's those sort of ideas that that you can put in, and the larger companies are starting to set that up as well. So you can roll it out safely without burning too much capital. But just being aware of how much usage you are. There was a really interesting number that came out that was, I believe it was NVIDIA that came out, and the CEO of NVIDIA put out something like a minimum expectation of API usage from their developers, that they wanted to hit a certain threshold of usage because they knew that if they weren't hitting that threshold, that they were underutilizing their efficiencies of what they could by using it. So you can look at this two different ways. If you're looking to try and maximize your efficiencies, you're going to want a high usage. If you're trying to get it out safely and not, have people aggregating large forms of data and wasting is equally the same. So
that's why I said
clever ways of doing it.
Yeah, and that's why I said about knowing the prompts and knowing how to use it and knowing your way around. Because in that one instance a couple of months ago, you guys integrated 4.6 with a bunch of our systems in house, and
one of the team members
blew it out in the first couple of hours. So
first 10 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kudos, thank you, grateful that you're using it. But B, let's understand, you need to understand the way that you're using it is not efficient.
Let's not look at every email that you've received in the last 6 months.
Yes.
Not a great idea.
Right. But we didn't know that, and now we know. And also, not time is money. So when you talk about it from a cost perspective, the amount of time
it's amazing.
that took.
Exactly.
It
was still a good outcome.
Yeah.
But it was a learning of understand what you're trying to do.
And then conversely, that made me look at, we talked about the usage or the lack of usage of some of the teams. Why aren't you using this?
Yes.
And usually there's an education piece. And there's opportunities that you then can identify through the overusage or the underusage of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that sweet. It's kind of like trading the stock market, right? So if you're like S&P 500, you can put limitations and all this sort of stuff. It's that same concept that you want to use it, but wisely, safely, efficiently.
Yeah. And know if you're going to go and invest into a new product or a new platform or a new application that you're looking to develop, just know, pre-plan, understand the cost.
Yep.
Understand it's just not free.
Yep.
It's not just going to be the $20 a month. And look, potentially, if things go well, then great. But that cost can then become greater and greater. And those parameters are changing as well. You know, the plan of what you're on now, the usage that you get for that money may change. So if you're putting all your eggs in one basket and you're going to go, I'm going to use the Claude Max plan, and all of a sudden it starts dialing back its parameters of how much you get for that.
Like we've noticed recently.
Which we've noticed all of a sudden, your $200 a month might become $400 a month, might become $1,000 a month, which is, again, still far cheaper than probably staff, but know that those, the goalposts might move a little bit.
Yeah. But I always like to look at everything in business as a value versus cost equation.
Big time.
So we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast about the potential cost of not being
huge,
foot forward with AI. The investment of time that yourself and the team have put into our proprietary system in the last 2 months, because that's where you've been. This is why we're 3 months into the year and haven't done another podcast. That's where you've been. If anyone he's been buried. But the amount of money that it's making us now because of the ability that our team have, because we've always talked about AI, about look at those repetitive, mundane tasks that you do every day, every week, every month.
Yeah.
How do we efficiently get that over the line? And what you guys have been able to do is the value in that versus the cost is just
it's
zeros and zeros and zeros.
It's incredible. Like, and not being humble on it, but it's one of the most advanced sort of techs and systems that we've seen utilizing AI in a digital marketing space.
Insane.
Which is absolutely incredible. And it is great to see that businesses that we now engage with and the businesses that we are working with, other businesses are starting to go into it as well, very open-minded, and going, look, okay, we know that we need to as well. What does this look like? So it's good to see other businesses starting to utilize it and start to understand the benefits for it, and everyone will start to adopt that usage, and it'll be less kind of frowned upon like it was maybe a couple of years ago.
And I love that the perception is changing from fear to curiosity.
Yeah, big time.
Like the conversation I had with a client coming in this morning, her boss has been in business for 40 years, and the amount of times in that conversation that her and I both said old school, and yet wants to know about AI.
Yeah.
How can we use it? I'm not scared of it.
Yeah.
Just tell me how to do it, what you guys would put on the table.
Yeah.
I love that. That's not a conversation we would have been having a year ago with a gentleman who's been in business for 40 years.
People didn't want to know about it. Exactly.
Or anyone.
No.
It was scary.
Yeah.
I love that it's changed.
I think we'll finish it there.
Peace out.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.